The beam is in the eye of the beholder. Sight is a most marvelous and precious gift. When we grow older, sometimes we realize what we've had, and now we're losing it. Our eye enables us to see stars and sunsets and smiling faces. But the eye does not have one major limitation. The eye does have one major limitation. It cannot see itself, unless you use a mirror, of course. We cannot see ourselves unless we use a mirror. When we get a speck of dust logged in our eye, we cannot see it. We need another person, or again, at least a mirror, to locate the problem and to try and get it out. The Gospel uses this common experience of a foreign object in our eye to show how we can be blind to our own glaring faults, yet see the petty fault of another quite exaggerated. The analogy has these telling points. Our own fault is often much greater than that of our neighbor. Our personal failings distort our vision of our neighbor. We need help in seeing our own faults. Why do you notice the splinter in your brother's eye, but not perceive the wooden beam in your own? Our fault is often greater than that of our neighbor. We see the tiniest fault in another, a speck, yet we are blind to our own greater fault, the big wooden beam. Our folklore has a related expression, the pot calling the kettle black. The most unkempt see the slightest dirt in others. The second point of the analogy is that our own fault, the beam in our own eye, distorts our vision. When you look through a distorted lens, you see a distorted world. When you look through a rose-colored lens, you see a rose-colored world. Our own failings cause us to see the faults of others wrongly, exaggerated. If there is a smudge on the lens of our eyeglasses, you'll see that smudge superimposed on everything you see, enlarged. Psychologists call it projection, projecting our faults onto others. If we consistently find the same fault in others, it may well be our own fault, which we cannot see, projected onto others. So, for example, those who harbor grudges find others unforgiving. Those who gossip resent it when others carry tales. The miser complains that others are not generous. There is a further subtle message in this gospel. Our eye cannot see itself, so we need another or a mirror to find the problem. As we need help to find and remove a speck from our own eye, we need help to find and remove flaws in our character. Just on Wednesday, I had a doctor sticking his needle and scalpel into my eye. Hopefully got rid of all the beams by now. The failings which we cannot see ourselves, a priest, a confessor, a counselor, or a confidant can see clearly and in proper perspective, and then reflect it back to us. The Gospels also can be a mirror to help us to find that beam in our own eye. Gospel stories and parables often reflect our own behavior and reveal personal failings to which we have been blind. A particle lodged in our eye is an unpleasant experience, often to the point of tears. And again, if you're a cyclist and you cycle without glasses on, you will know if an insect flies into your eye. Our own faults can likewise cause us suffering, and removing them may be painful. When it is our duty to point out the fault of another, we need to recall the delicate care required to move a speck of dust from another's eye. It must be done gently, with surgical care. If not, we may do serious damage. So I put my trust fully in that doctor with his needle and scalpel. So it is in correcting the failings of others. When someone removes a speck from our eye, we say, "What a relief, thank you." Yet when others point out our mistakes, even kindly, we are often offended, even insulted, despite the fact that they are relieving us of a source of pain. But the wisdom writings in the Old Testament says, a wise person will thank the other person who corrects them. I'm sure all of you at one stage or another must have had a teacher when you were at school who insisted that we never find fault with others. And they probably would say, anytime you point one finger at someone else, you have 3 fingers pointing back at yourself. Try it. One finger pointed at another, 3 fingers pointing back at yourself. Why do you notice the splinter in your brother's eye, but not perceive the wooden beam in your own? Remove the wooden beam in your own eye first, that you may see clearly to remove the splinter from your brother's eye.